finished the whole thing?
I think so. I need to ask him. I think so.
Well, he finished the whole thing. The question is if you finished the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, if you finished the whole thing, you should know that you finished the whole thing. If you're not sure if you finished the whole thing. You don't know if it is together with the sheets. Okay, good. The sheets are officially there. You have the sheets in front of you. This week I did bolden the keywords like I've done in the past, and I unfortunately didn't do recently, but they are emboldened. Okay, you got them. The sheets, as a matter of fact, I did not post it to the group, but I will, Bezrat Hashem, post it to the group shortly for any of you who would like to follow in the Aramaic original format. It will be available for you on the group Bezrat Hashem Bli Neder. If you're not sure how to join the group, you just have to hold on. Where's this group thing? Here, group chat. Here, there you go. Why doesn't it go up? Didn't go up. Oh, it did go up. On the top left corner. Oh, that's the one in the center. Good. So that is the Talmudic group for those of you who want to join it. The WhatsApp group, QR code, etc. Yeah, that's that. Let's continue. We'll leave it on the top left-hand corner of the video if anybody wants to join in the middle. Okay? Now, we are beginning a new topic this week. Normally, we start the week on Sunday. Today, we're starting it kind of on Monday because we had an awesome Shabbaton at the Baba Sali in Netivot. It was tremendously inspirational, and we didn't get back to really late Saturday night, so I schluffed in a little bit. I'm sorry to let you know that, but that's just what happened. All right? What?
No, but I'm also going to have a question. I'm going to relate to this. I just wrote it down.
Right. Related to what?
Kiddush. This is about something I learned about Asian culture.
And what?
In Japanese culture, about Japanese wine.
You learned about Japanese wine.
Yeah.
Is it made out of grapes?
Rice.
Rice, then it's not wine. It might be some type of beer or whatever it is, but it's not. They might call it sake.
They use the word rice wine, but by halakha, it's not.
It's not wine.
It would be a mead or a rice beer. Maybe.
Beer. Well, how strong do they distill it, or is it just fermented?
It's distilled, right?
No, it's sake. I think it's just fermented.
Right. Well, how strong does it get? That's how you can know.
It's to like wine strength.
Right. Well, wine strength is about as strong as you do it naturally. You can't get too much stronger than. As a matter of fact, in Israel, I don't know how they do it, but they do have natural 16% wine. I'm not sure if you can get much stronger than that. And even then, you need a lot. You need a real professional to get at 16% naturally. Really, really hard. And it's also because there's grapes in Israel that for some reason they have a much higher sugar content than other places in the world. And they're not even original grapes from Israel, meaning they took grapes, some of them from France, some of them from other places, and planted them in Israel. But for some reason, the actual climate and the actual situation here in Israel is conducive for grapes, which is one of the blessings of the land of Israel, is that we should have good grapes and good wine. And we actually see that today 100%, like in the whole world. Israel has like the best growing fields. The best places to grow wine is in Israel. And if you're paying $100 for some French wine, stop, because you can just buy Israel for a little cheaper before the price goes up. Soon the Israeli ones are going to go up because as they gain fame, they're getting more expensive. They could get expensive here today, right? There's $100 bottles of wines in Israel.
And plus, we shouldn't support Muslim countries like France with our money, you know?
France is a Muslim country now?
No, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, somebody tells me something new I didn't know. France is a Muslim country. And by the way, what's wrong with supporting the Muslim countries?
Well, they
what's wrong? Who says they hate the Jews? They hate the Jews more than the Christians.
Is there a Muslim country that likes the Jews?
Is there a Christian country that likes the Jews?
Yeah, I'd say
Which one?
America.
America's. There's no country called America.
USA.
Oh, the United States. The United States is not officially a Christian country. Again, it might be majority Christian, but it's not a Christian country. All right? Can I know it?
Maybe Argentina. Never mind. We'll keep going.
Okay, let's begin today's Talmud as follows. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, as you can see in your notes, that is boldened, right? That's boldened because it's a key word. Tanu Rabbanan literally means the rabbis taught, okay? But it's a massive keyword to tell you that we're about to discuss something new. Whenever you see Tanu Rabbanan, the Gemara is essentially quoting a Tanaic sage to then discuss that Tanaic sage. It's not part of the previous discussion. Did you know that? Tanu Rabbanan is not previous discussion. I would appreciate if you don't chew gum in the class. I don't know. It's like, I don't know. It just makes me feel like weird. But yeah, sorry, but especially when you blow bubbles. Stay there. If you're gonna chew gum, you're probably gonna blow bubbles. Anyways, not a rule. Just makes me uncomfortable. Anyways, in America, the thought of chewing gum is like, yeah, you're sitting around. Maligata. You know, instead we have, hold on a second. You know what I'll give you? Hold on. Oh, you know why people chew gum? Because it's like a fidget. You know, people they need to fidget. Yeah, it's a sensation. So me too. I also like fidgeting. So somebody bought me here. It's an Oreo cookie. The Oreo cookie. There you go. It's really made out of metal. All right, there you go, and it splits apart like this, and it's a beautiful fidget toy. So here we took away your gum, so we'll give you something to fidget. We have John over here says the United States of America is a Christian country and founded on Christian principles. The first statement is incorrect. The second statement perhaps is partially correct. It was definitely built on biblical principles. However, one of the principles was specifically not to be a particular religion, which in fact is an antithesis to Christianity, because Christianity, the separation of church and state is actually in itself a rejection of making it. Like they happen to be, most of them were Christians. There were quite a few Jews involved as well in the founding of America. So it was basically Jews and Christians pretty much, a lot more Christians than Jews, but that's just because statistically the world is a lot more Christians than Jews. It was built on a biblical framework, but it was not. It was specifically not made as a Christian country. And as a matter of fact, I think that one of the monumental uniquenesses of the establishment of the United States of America was the very fact that you had people who, on one hand, were had very strong religious convictions, but they were able to see beyond those convictions, right? Many people, if you're either not religious and then you don't have any religious convictions, or you have strong religious convictions and your way or the highway and everybody else is horrible and evil, right? One of the uniquenesses of the founding fathers of the United States, that even though they were strong Christians, they were very dedicated Christians, right? But they saw beyond their own concept to say, listen, there's a God, and I understand that other people might not agree with my own convictions, as convinced as I am that these convictions are correct. But I understand that God created the world differently, that doesn't allow everybody to have the same convictions, and therefore they opened what they called, they specifically didn't make themselves a religious country. And by the way, if you ask me, that's one of the reasons why they're as blessed as they are, because I think God recognized the awesomeness of that. As a matter of fact, the Napoleon, he liked America because it was a democrat and freedom of religion. The Napoleonic system was actually that the government should control religion, right? It wasn't about freedom of religion. It was actually about the subjugation of all religion equally, right? Under the government. That was Napoleon's thing. Why? Because what was he doing? He as an individual was saying, listen, I as an individual have a conviction, whatever that conviction is, and I want to enforce my conviction and impose it is the right word. I want to impose my conviction on others, right? And that is actually very natural for people that come into power, because most people that come into power have a strong conviction. Otherwise, why the heck would you fight for power if you didn't have a strong conviction? And then once you have a strong conviction and you get power, so then you're like, okay, therefore I'm going to impose my conviction on the others, right? And that is actually one of the uniquenesses of the United States. I don't know how we got into this Hakatrinik, but it's a very important thing to know because Mr. John Yazel thinks that the United States of America is a Christian country. I hate to burst your bubble. It's simply not true. United States of America is I would actually say that it is a God-believing country with a freedom of allowing people to find their path in God independently of a major state force. I think that would be the best way of doing it. The Rebbe actually used this terminology because in America, lately, there is a lot of people that try to fight to say that the freedom of religion was meant to be the freedom from religion, and that the government should do whatever it could not to support any religion. Whereas the Rebbe said that that's not true, and I agree who I might agree with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, but the fact is that you do see that a lot in the American narrative, or the American theme of its founding was all about the fact that they had a strong conviction in the Creator, and that Creator should and could find his own way to convince people of what he wants them to do. Yeah, good. He says America is not blessed. Go to China, North Korea, some other places, and then say the same, right? I love it when an American who never left America, never saw any other place in the world, he says America is not blessed. Why? Because he found two problems in America, and he's like, Zell. There's a lot more than two problems in America. Baruch Hashem, they have an abundance. America is in a land of abundance. They have a lot of problems and also a lot of blessings too.
Yeah, we liberated the land from those child and human sacrificing barbarians that were there before the Europeans came.
What's that?
Those barbaric natives that were doing human sacrifice and doing pogroms on each other and genociding each other. We were able to turn something out of the land.
Baruch Hashem. Anyways, there's a lot of blessing in America. We at the moment are not in America. We're in the Holy Land of Israel. I personally was born and raised in America, spent most of my years in America. However, that's about to change because I've actually spent about 17 years, about 18 years outside of America. I'm 42. So in a couple of years, I won't be able to say I spent most of my life in America.
Whoa.
What did I do to myself? All right. Anyways, Tonu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught, as I said, this is a new Tanaic quote. And this Tanaic quote is here to introduce a new idea that we haven't yet discussed, although it will very often, as well as here, will be speaking on topic. Okay, on the topic we've learned last week. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught as follows. Ein makadshin el al yayin. You cannot make kiddush on anything but wine, meaning you must use wine to make kiddush. Ve'ein mevarchin elo al hayayin, and you don't make any blessing except on wine, which means you only make a blessing on wine. All right, so that's what he says. Number one, you only make kiddush on wine. Number two, you only make blessings on wine. Zil. Now comes the Gemara. The Talmud asks the following question. Otu ashichra va'amaya miloy mevarchinon alayhu. What's so funny?
I just like your accent.
You like this is Aramaic.
Otu
ashichra va'amaya loy mevarchinon alayhu shahakol niya b'dvari. Do we not bless on water and on beer the blessing shahakol niya b'dvari? Now, if you are particular on the exact wording of the Tanaic sages, which says you do not make kiddush on wine and you do not make a blessing on wine, you may actually think that means that you don't make any blessing on anything but other than wine. Meaning, if you're drinking water, you don't make a blessing. If you're drinking beer, you don't make a blessing. And the Gemara is saying, hold on a second, are you telling me that this Tanaic sage is suggesting that you don't say shahakol niya b'dvari on a cup of beer? That doesn't make any sense. How on earth could you say that is what the Tana is saying? All right, so that's a question. Now comes the answer of the Gemara. Omar Abai says as follows. Hochi ka'omar, this is what in fact we are saying. Ein oimrim hava koishel bracha levarech elo alayayin. Do not say, let's bring a cup of blessing, except for wine. Meaning, if you're going to say, let's bring the cup of blessing, the cup of blessing means a cup that you're making a mitzvah, a particular ritual on. If you're making a ritual over a particular cup, it must be wine according to this Tanaic sage. As we know, the Jewish people, we celebrate everything by with a cup of wine. Every ritual, every life cycle ritual, and many other rituals as well, we do over a cup of wine, which includes Kiddush Friday night, where we welcome in the Sabbath with a cup of wine. At a wedding, if anybody was ever at a Jewish wedding, were you ever at a Jewish wedding? Yeah, you were at a Jewish wedding. How many times were you at a Jewish wedding? 5 times, Baruch Hashem. I think I was at a Jewish wedding a few more times than that, but Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Good. What are we saying? Oh, so we make Kiddush on wine. If you go to a wedding, you go under the canopy, you'll see that they have 2 cups of wine. It's not one's not good enough. You have to have 2 cups of wine for a wedding. Why? Because there's actually 2 separate rituals done under the same canopy. You might not realize it. You might think it's one big long ritual. There's really 2 rituals happening there, and that's somewhat secret. No, it's not such a secret, but if you could read it in the books. One's called Erusin and one's called Kiddushin. One's called Erusin and one's called Nisuin. All right? Good. So Abaye resolves the conflict. He says, yes, you do in fact say Shahakol Nihad Bidvari on any drink. However, if it is a blessing drink, if you're trying to make a special blessing drink, it has to be on wine. Meaning if you're doing a blessing on the wine for a particular ritual, for a particular thing. Tanu Rabbanon. Once again, we have Tanu Rabbanon. And here in the second Tanu Rabbanon, you can see the keyword from the first Tanu Rabbanon. We pretty much finished discussing that quote. And now we're going to discuss a new Tanaic quote. Okay, so Tanu Rabbanan is always going to introduce a new Tanaic quote. It's going to be from a brisa. Okay, if you know, in the beginning of the Gemara's discussion, we always start with a Mishnah. Then the Gemara analyzes that Mishnah. Now, very often there's a brisa which can add details or influence the discussion, and that's when we bring Tanu Rabbanan. But as I said, it's not part of a question answer. It's literally a new discussion on this Tanaic quote, which we are about to continue right now. All right? Next one. Tanu Rabbanan, the rabbis taught as follows. Ein mekadshin ala sheicher. We do not make Kiddush on beer. Mishum Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Shimon Omer. Right? In the name of Rabbi Elazar bar Rabbi Shimon, it says as follows. Amru mekadshin. Mekadshin mit imas yain kolshu. You could make Kiddush, you have to taste even just a drop. You don't have to taste any more than a drop of wine, which means to consume. You make Kiddush on perhaps a full cup of wine, but you only need to consume a little drop. Rabbi Yosi bar Yehuda Omer Moli Lugma, he says, no, you must consume an entire lugma. Moli Lugma is basically the filling of your cheek. Nope, Moli Lugma is not a revius. It's the filling of your cheek.
1 cheek width.
That's a Moli Lugma. How much wine could you fit in one side of your mouth? That is the amount of wine that you're meant to drink by Kiddush. Now you'll ask me, how come a lot of people only drink a little sip and they don't drink a whole mouthful? Because only the person making the blessing is required to do that. The person making the blessing must drink enough that he could potentially fill one side of his mouth with the wine that he made Kiddush on. What's wow? Huh? Oh, there you go. So what does this Tanaic quote tell us? Number 1, it tells you that you cannot make Kiddush on beer. Number 2, it tells you, what does it tell you? That there's one opinion that says you could drink just a drop. You don't need to drink any particular amount, just a little bit of wine, you're good enough. And the other opinion says, no, you must drink a lugma. Correct. Right? Good. Does the Rashbam explain what lugma is or no? Again, lugma is one side of the mouthful, but I'm not sure if it says it in the Rashbam. I don't see it here. Good. Let's continue. Omar Rav Huna. Omar Rav. Says Rav Huna in the name of Rav. V'chein tonu Rav Gidul d'min Neresh. And so taught Rav Gidul of the place of Neresh. Hamakadosh v'to'am moli lugma. Somebody who made kiddush and drank and consumed a cheekful of wine. Yotza, he fulfilled his obligation. The imlav lo yotza, but if he didn't, he did not fulfill his obligation. Now I want you to pay attention and look at that sentence that we just read from Amar Rav Huna, Amar Rav, right, till where I stopped. Yeah, and tell me something that you find over there that seems peculiar. There seems to be different terminologies being used, and I want to see if anybody could figure it out. Yeah, let's see if you can figure out different terminologies being used in those two places. Yeah. You didn't even bother looking. How you're not going to figure it out if you don't look? Oh, so that's why I did this exercise. Because a lot of people, they get used to, I'm going to listen to the rabbi. I'm going to sit here and enjoy myself. And I'm just going to listen, and then I'm going to internalize the information of the Talmud. And somehow that's going to influence me. You think that's true? Yeah, it's true. You're right. It would happen, but not very quickly. If you really want the Talmud to influence you, you have to be an active participant, not a passive listener. Right? And that's why every once in a while I give you a project to do, and this you have to read it. And for those of you who has a paper, I'll even tell you where it is. We have from 7 and 8. That's it. 7 and 8. I want you to look at the wording and find some peculiar difference or some type of why you're saying it like this, and like why are you using a terminology compared to itself. Everything's in there. 7 and 8. Tell me where you see two different terminologies being used, and these two terminologies are being used in the same exact sentence to mean the exact same thing, seemingly, but they're really two different terminologies, and that's why are we doing that? Yeah.
Yatsa.
That's it. But again, I want you to look. There's a terminology that's used twice. Sorry, there is a concept trying to be said twice, but different terminologies are used to express the exact same concept. Look very, very carefully. If you look carefully and you read it, you might find it. Omar Rav Huna Omar Rav V'chein Toni Rav Gidol Demin Neresh. I'll tell you a hint. It's up to there. That's it. Meaning it's half the line of 7. You already got to the thing.
It's 18.
What? No, I'm talking about line 7. Line 7. The first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The first 10 words of the line it seemingly says the exact same thing twice, but uses two different terminologies to say the exact same thing. And I want you to look carefully and see if you can find it.
Omar Rav V'chein. So Rav Huna said that Rav V'chein said.
Yeah, what is it? Mendel thinks he found it. What? What is it? What? And then what does it say? So what's the word? What's the two different terminologies?
Rav and Tane.
Close.
V'chein.
Omar and Tane. By one it says Omar Rav Huna Omar Rav, says Rav Huna in the name of Rav. The other one says V'chein Tani, and so was taught by Rav Gidul of the place of Neresh. Hold on a second. How come he says it? When he says it, he wasn't teaching it?
Well, no, because Tane he's from a Tana.
Huh?
Tane is taught by a Tana.
Tane, oh, very good. So when it says Tane, it means it was taught by a Tanaic sage.
Oh, not a Tana, but a Tanaic sage.
Tanaic sage. No, well, Tanaic sage is a Tana.
I thought a Tana was somebody who was versed in the Tanaic sages.
No, it depends. That could be again. It could be. It could be. You're talking about a Tana in the place of Amar. But when it says that, when it uses the word Tana as like a noun, like a person's title, then it is what you're talking about, which means the person that memorized the Tanaic
sage who memorized the Tanaic.
Correct. That's if it's talking about as a title of a person.
But it's a verb,
right? Over here, it's a verb that he taught. Whenever it uses this verb, means he taught in a brisa. Now, why does it say by Rav Huna, it says Omar, he said, and by Rav Gidel the Min Neresh, it says Tani. The answer is because Rav Huna Omar Rav Huna was saying that Rav says, we're telling you the original person who said it. Tane, it was taught, means that he said that this wasn't coming from Rav, but this was actually coming from a Tanaic sage prior to Rav. So and therefore it might have more weight because it's not coming from Rav, it's coming from a Tana. In other words, Rav Huna says Rav is the originator of this statement, and Rav Gidel the Menayer says no, Rav is not the originator of that sentence. It's coming from the Tanaic era, and not always do we know who in the Tanaic era quoted that particular thing. Sometimes we don't know who in the Tanaic era said it, right? Makes sense? Yeah, good, very important. So again, Rav Huna is saying that this statement is originated by Rav himself, and Rav Gidel the Menayer says no, this came from a Tanaic quote. There you go. The person who makes kiddush and he tasted a mouthful, yotza, he is fulfilled his obligation. If not, he has not fulfilled his obligation. That is the quote, end quote. Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says as follows. Ano tanina lo loy gidel bar menashia v'loy gidel bar manyumi. I taught this not in the name of Rav Gidel ben Menashia and not in the name of Rav Gidel bar Manyumi. Elo Gidel Stoma, I just taught it in the name of Gidel. Apparently there were numerous people called Gidel. There was a Gidel de Min Neresh, which I'm not sure how that plays together with Rav Gidel bar Menashia or Rav Gidel bar Manyumi. You can check it up. There are some books that will suggest who exactly Gidel de Min Neresh means. He came from a place called Neresh. Let's see if there is here. I don't see here. Let's see if there's a. He basically, no, it doesn't really say who Minu Neresh. Apparently there was two Rav Gidels. There were two people called Rav Gidel. There was one Rav Gidel that was called Rav Gidel bar Menashia, and there was another one called Rav Gidel bar Manyumi, right? Meaning the son of Menashia, the son of Manyumi. There was two different Rav Gidels, right? As a matter of fact, we went to the Baba Sali this past Shabbos, and we came with a friend of ours whose full name is Yisrael Abu Chatzera. Now, if you look on the what's the Baba Sali's name?
Yisrael Abu Chatzera.
So we walked in. We tried to sneak in and try to say we went with a whole crowd around him, and we tried to make as if he's some holy Jew, which he's a holy Jew, Baruch Hashem. And they didn't let us in. It was a total flop. It was fun. It was a nice little shtick to do, but it was a total flop. Like the police are like, "I'm sorry, we don't know who you are. We're not letting you in." Only, by the way, people were wondering, like, why doesn't this work? The answer is that in America or in other places, you probably play a shtick like this. They're like, "Oh wow, this guy must be serious." In Israel, everybody tries. Every Jew tries to play a shtick like this and like this, and you should have seen the guys trying to run and jump over the things and skip the lines. It was like Meshuggah. Yeah, Jews are hustlers. We always try to find another way in like this. Now, it could be for the better or for the worse. Sometimes we're good and we actually get good things done by, figuring out how to, we like finding, how should I say it? We like finding the loopholes. We like figuring out how to sneak around various hurdles. A lot of people complain, how come the Jews in America, they get so much government funding? Well, because they figured it out, not necessarily cheating, but they always figure out how to get like this and like this. And it's actually in the nature of Jews. And you see that so much. I see that so much here in Israel because I grew up in America. And in America, you didn't see people act like this. But you come to Israel, they're always trying to figure out, how to get things done in very unique, how should I say it, creative ways. Jews are creative. They're creative. That's why they call this startup nation, because we're creative people. We try to figure out creative solutions to problems, right?
You gotta watch your service tech when he comes in to do something in your house, like a hawk, because he might get a little too creative.
What do you mean? Who?
And someone comes in to do your drywall or electrical work, or plumbing,
Yeah, you got to be careful. Yeah, well, yeah, you got to watch your back here in Israel. Well, the truth is, it's interesting. Like from a physical perspective, people are, there's like, it's very safe here, Baruch Hashem. Like people don't attack you. You're not afraid of. You could walk at 3 a.m. You're not afraid that to watch your back. Like, but on the other hand, like if in business and things like that, you got to watch your back. Yeah, not scam, but overcharging and it's like that, and try to finagle a shtick like this. It could be a little distressful, right? What would you rather, finagle your life or finagle your money? I mean, if you go other places, you have to finagle to stay alive, right? You walk down the street of Chicago, you have to make sure somebody doesn't shoot you in the head, right? Here, as much as there's terrorism, yeah, but besides for terrorism, Israel's an extremely safe place. Yeah, where are we? Good. So Rav Yitzchak, he said that this Rav Gidl Bar Menashe, we're not sure who it was. Now, of course, the Gemara asks one of its favorite questions, L'may nafka mina. L'may nafka mina is what comes out of this. I think I did bold it, but I'm not sure. Did I bold it? I did. 11. L'may nafka mina, literally what comes out of it, or what is the outcome? In other words, the Gemara never gives you a piece of information that is just a worthless piece of information just so that you should know a piece of information. As I have taught in this class a lot before, it is very important in your own life to realize that it's not worth knowing something if there's no benefit to knowing it. Some people are like, yeah, just fill yourself with knowledge. I say, okay, fill yourself with knowledge. You think you can know everything? Do you think you can know everything? No, I can't either. We're in the same boat. I can't either know everything, right? And so if you can't know everything, you can only know some things. So what does that mean? You should pick the some things that are relevant to you. Don't know things. There's no purpose of knowing things that are not relevant to you, right? That is essentially one of the core philosophies of the Gemara. No rabbi gets up and makes a statement that has no value whatsoever. So the very fact that Rav Nachman gets up and says, listen, I'm not sure who this is from. This could either be Rav Gidl Bar Menashe or Rav Gidl Bar Manyumi, right? There has to be something that we can gain from that statement. What could we gain from the statement of knowing we're not sure if it's from him or for him. What could we? Yeah. So, yeah. You read the Gemara or no? So this is the answer to the Gemara. The answer to the Gemara is that, listen, at the current moment, there's not necessarily a direct outcome, but the fact is that potentially you might find this contradicts the opinion of Rav Gidl, and then you might think, Rav Gidl's contradicting himself, and therefore you might come to other false conclusions. Therefore, he wants to tell you that, listen, we're not sure exactly who Rav Gidl is, right? It can be one of two people. And being one of two people, therefore, again, if you see someone contradicts Rav Gidl, you could know that it's the other Rav Gidl. There's two separate Rav Gidls, and that's that. Yeah? Kenaina hore. All right, so that is, we've now essentially finished the discussion about Kiddush that you said you wanted to speak about Kiddush. This is the end of the discussion of Kiddush. Tomorrow already, we're starting a brand new Gemara. If you remember, pretty much ever since we started this Gemara, I don't think we quoted another part of the Mishnah yet, did we? We've been on this Gemara for a while, right? Literally for like a month or two. Yeah, I'm looking over here. We've been going at this, man. And wow, where's it at? Oh, here it is. Ever since we started this term, right, which was what, 2 months ago? For the last 2 months, we've been learning all the Gemara, which is the first Gemara on the Mishnah that we had in the beginning of the term. Okay, so the Mishnah, we've had a Mishnah and we analyzed it. Usually when you have a Mishnah, you will analyze the bulk of the important things or the essential things of that Mishnah, and then we will start discussing another detail within the Mishnah. And that's exactly what's happening here. If you look right after where we up to in the Gemara, you have 2 dots, a colon, and it says Samuch Lamincha, and then another colon. Whenever you have a colon, a few words in a colon, in almost all cases, that is a quote from the previous Mishnah, which means we analyzed the Mishnah up until those words, and now we're going to analyze those words specifically. In this case, it says Samuch Lamincha, close to Mincha, and that's it. Sometimes it says V'chulu. If it says V'chulu, it means the entire discussion that follows in the Mishnah. Here you have Lucky, which is not always, but it just says words, which means we are now, starting from tomorrow, we are going to analyze those 2 words. That's it. Only those 2 words in the Mishnah, Samuch Mincha, close to Mincha. We're going to analyze that, and that is going to go to the end of this week and part of next week as well. We're going to be analyzing just those 2 words in the Mishnah, as you could find a Jew that could take 2 words and write pages and pages and pages on it. We're a creative bunch of people, you know. Yeah. Huh? Can I have my cookie back? Oh, I like my cookie. Yeah. Huh? It's yeah. The pay. What do you mean? Erev Pesachim. So Erev Pesachim Samuch Lamincha. Now, doesn't mean that we just discussed Erev Pesachim. No. We discussed a lot of essential concepts within the Mishnah, and now we're going to break apart certain individual concepts that need to be discussed independently of each other. All right? Yeah. Good. Where are we? Anyways, that is the end of today's shir. I demand that everybody sit down with a chavrusa and read it both in your sheets and know it backwards and forwards in your sheets, as well as when you finish doing it in your sheets, you're going to read it in the Gemara. I know last week some guys did really, really well. Some guys will do better this week. And in either case, this is the true way for you to develop your true knowledge of Gemara. And your ability to learn Gemara on your own is to literally sit down and read it word for word. It requires effort. If you think that you're going to sit in a class for 10 years and learn or listen to somebody tell you how to play guitar, do you think you're going to learn how to play guitar? No. You got to take that guitar and start playing with it. And what do you think is going to happen when you start playing with it? You think you're going to be good the first second? No. You're going to be horrible. You're going to sound like an idiot, and no one's going to want to listen to you. Everybody's going to run away from you. They're going to be like, you're going to have to sit there in the room all by yourself, you know, knocking at these chords, feeling like an idiot, making stupid, horrible sounds and mistakes and all that. And then after you do that, slowly you get better and better and better, and then you become a skilled guitar player, right? But if you just sit and listen to somebody else play guitar, you might enjoy their guitar, but you won't be able to do it. And that's exactly what we want you to. We want you to be that expert that you can read the Gemara and you can learn it on your own, right? What's your name again? I keep on forgetting. Avi. I'll remember it eventually after asking another 5 times maybe. Avi, you had another question that you had down there? Or did we cover what your question that you had? And by the way, right now the class is done. You can ask questions. If they're relevant to the topic, we will discuss those questions now. Yeah. It could, well, put it this way. First of all, learn what we just learned today. And if you have time, you should learn the Mishnah as well. It will help you for tomorrow. Yeah, good. And anyone else? Avi, you had a question? Oh, who's your chavrusa? You have a chavrusa? Yaakov David, you were learning with him?
You can, if you want.
Yeah, and who are you going to learn with? Ruvain? Or you have? When is he coming?
I think 12.
Oh, so it's like now. He's late then. But here's what I want you to do. I'm not going to tell this to Benjamin. I'm going to tell this to you, right? Because I don't tell other people what to do, unless they're in my class. I tell them what to do. But I want you. He's going to read you the Gemara, and he's going to explain to you the Gemara. You're going to understand the Gemara. I explained to you the Gemara. You understand the Gemara. I don't want you to just sit and listen to him explain the Gemara. I want you to tell him that you want to read, and he should correct you when you get in trouble. You did that yesterday? Oh, very good. I think it's very important.
My grandfather's doing it also.
With him?
Yeah, he calls me every day, every afternoon.
Oh, very good. It's very important. I want you to be the one reading, and they can correct you if you make a mistake.
I told him that I'm in yeshiva.
Yeah.
So he said that he'll do Gemara with me instead of telling me a story. He calls me.
Yeah?
He calls
Who's this?
His name is Ives, my grandfather.
Yeah.
He lives in London.
Okay.
So he calls me every day.
Very good.
So instead of telling me a story, he'll tell to learn Gemara.
All right. Good. Very good. But I want not that he should be teaching it to you. I want you to be reading to him, and he should correct when you're doing it. Because this way you're going to practice just like guitar. You're going to practice. You're going to practice. You're going to get better. And then one day you're going to be giving the class. Not my class. We'll give you a different class. We'll find other people. Plenty of people that are interested in learning. You don't need to take my class. Right? I'll keep my class. You make another one. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So, first of all, there are plenty of English translations out there. The general idea of this class is to enable you to then, that's why we give these out, so that you can use the English translation and then try to read it in the Hebrew and develop that skill, because that skill, I say this, it's not in an offensive way, but you will not understand the Gemara from listening to a class ever, because the Gemara is highly based on the nuances of the language, and therefore, if you really want to appreciate the brilliance of Gemara, you have to learn the language. So again, I'm not there's plenty. There's Art Scroll, there's the Merkava, there's Safaria, there's all sorts of websites, and I'm happy to recommend them to you. However, I think that the whole point is that you should be using these sheets and reading it and getting stuck and feeling annoyed, and then going back and forth to these either to translations, or what some people do. Ruvain does. He comes to me every once in a while with a whole list of words that he wants me to translate for him, and then he writes it down. But that's actually the purpose of the word sheets, is that you should use these sheets to make notes on. That's why we print them, so you make notes. Look at this guy's notes. Is some beautiful art on it as well, a compass. Very nice. But that's the purpose. The purpose is that you try to use these sheets to develop and make the notes as necessary. But yeah, there's websites. If you're familiar with any of these websites, Art Scroll. But Art Scroll, unfortunately, you got to buy the book. There's no easy way out with Art Scroll. There's a website called the Merkava, MECAVA. It's you have to write the Merkava. I think it's .org. Is it .org?
Yeah, MERCAVA.
Yeah, and they
also Chabad.org.
Chabad.org has it. They have the full translation.
Yeah, by section, not by word, but yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. There's that. Any other questions? We'll give you another 3 seconds. For those of you who did not yet join our WhatsApp group, on the top left-hand corner, there is a QR code to join our WhatsApp